the way it has gone. And it seems to me that now, well, I think it's fair to say that I responded to this.
At 58, Spencer Tracy stood at the summit of American fame. The face on posters, the voice of conscience, the man studios trusted when box office trembled, yet behind the award speeches and iron self-control, there lived a quieter truth. He carried a forbidden love to the grave in silence. Friends guarded it. Studios demanded it. Reporters sensed it but looked away. In an age of morality, clauses, and ruinous headlines, secrecy felt like survival. The cost was heavy. Sleepless nights. Vanished weekends. A drink to quiet the storm. To understand how a boy from Milwaukee became Hollywood's steady star, and why he chose silence, we must begin at the beginning. Spencer Bonaventure Tracy was born in Milwaukee in 1900, an Irish-American household, a city of breweries, factories, and winter wind. His mother valued books and order. His father sold trucks and argued politics. Catholic faith shaped the kitchen and the calendar. Saints on the wall, Mass on Sundays, duty over display. He was a restless child with quick wit. Teachers noticed a sharp memory and a stubborn streak. He loved words more than arithmetic. He loved stories, most of all. Church Latin mixed with vaudeville jokes in his head. He copied voices. He watched faces until he could mimic them. School brought debate clubs and amateur theatricals. He liked the instant electricity of a crowd. He liked responsibility, too. Friends remembered a boy who seemed older than his age. He could clown, then turn grave in a heartbeat. That shift would become his screen signature. The country changed as he grew. Ragtime gave way to jazz. Skirts rose. Radios filled parlors with distant lives. Prohibition arrived and pushed drinking into shadows. Cities learned the art of secrecy. That lesson mattered in Hollywood later. He studied at college in Wisconsin, then chased training in New York. The American Academy of Dramatic Arts offered technique and discipline. Voice, movement, truth on the line. He learned to underplay, not to pose. He learned that stillness could shout. Classmates later recalled his focus. He listened harder than he spoke. He found a partner early, the actress Louise Treadwell. Marriage anchored him during uncertain seasons. Work was a patchwork then. Stock companies, one-night stands, long train rides that smelled of coal and damp wool. Each town meant a new audience and a new test. He failed sometimes. He learned more. The 1,920 seconds demanded charm and speed. Broadway lured with lights and reviews. Studios raided the stage for talkies. He heard the rumor that cameras loved restraint. He had restraint to spare. He also carried private burdens. Drinking rose and fell with pressure. Faith argued with ambition when Sundays clashed with rehearsals. Public life in that era drew hard lines. The morality code grew teeth by the early 1,930 seconds. Studios wrote clauses that policed the private. Tabloids hunted whispers about marriage, religion, and desire. Same-sex relationships were criminalized and cruelly mocked. Many artists hid themselves to survive. He studied the climate and learned caution. He also heard California calling. The train west promised work, and maybe a quieter bargain with fate. The boy from Milwaukee packed the discipline of his church and the calm of his craft. The studio gates would test both. The train west brought Spencer Tracy to Fox. The year was 1930. Sound had conquered film. Actors with stage diction were gold. He arrived with a hard jaw, a quiet voice, and discipline. Casting men noticed the stillness. It read as authority on camera. John Ford tested him in a prison picture called Up the River. The lens found a man who could suggest thought without moving. Audiences felt that. So did directors. He worked constantly. Comedies, crime stories, dramas with moral weight. The studios measured actors by days worked and columns filled. Tracy delivered both. He learned the new grammar of close-ups. Less movement. Cleaner truth. He ditched Broadway projection and aimed smaller. The result felt honest. Reviewers said he seemed like a man you might actually meet. Not a star, at least not yet. Something steadier. A human center. He moved to roles with sharper edges. 20,000 years in Sing Sing marked a turn. He could be dangerous, yet sympathetic. The power and the glory added complexity. He could carry a whole life inside a single look. Producers liked bankable gravity. He became their answer to melodrama that needed weight. In 1935, he signed with MGM. The lot was a city of myths. Garbo, Gable, a factory of light and order. MGM prized polish, yet Tracy brought grit. He stood a little apart. The studio leaned into that difference. They sold him as the reliable adult in a town of peacocks. Then came Fury in 1936. Fritz Lang built a nightmare of mob justice around him. Tracy made it human. He played rage like a man ashamed of it. Critics noticed restraint again. Audiences noticed the heat under it. San Francisco paired him with Clark Gable. The film shook, sang, and sold. Tracy did not shout. He anchored. Captains Courageous in 1937 changed everything. A fisherman with rough hands and a tender code. He won the Academy Award. The next year he won again for Boys Town. A priest who believed boys could be saved. 2 in a row felt like a coronation. Hollywood crowned a conscience. Fame brought fan magazines and polish. Photoplay tracked his habits. Studio publicists shaped interviews. They praised his devotion to craft, his Midwestern roots, his marriage. They avoided the messy. They had to. MGM had morality clauses that could end contracts. Every star learned the rules. Tracy learned another lesson. Success attracts scrutiny. A late-night sip became a headline risk. A private friendship could become a whisper. He withdrew. He kept sets professional, nights quiet, and eyes on the work. He learned the balance that saved careers then. Visible virtue, invisible doubt. But pressure builds beneath silence. Fame requires a face the public understands. A man may not always fit that mask. The next chapter would test the careful image he had built. Hollywood had rooms where people exhaled. Not the soundstage, not the commissary. Private houses after midnight, curtains drawn, music low. The talk was faster there. Safer too, at least for a while. In those rooms, many artists let the mask slide. Desire did not have to fit the posters. Spencer Tracy knew those rooms. Colleagues invited him because he listened, because he kept confidences, because his quiet steadied storms, parties at elegant bungalows, suppers in the hills, Sunday afternoons by the sea. He moved through circles where queer artists found shelter. Directors, designers, actors who played heroes by day and ghosts by night. He worked often with George Cukor. Cukor's sets felt civilized, gentle, precise. His salons drew men who lived carefully in public. Stories later linked Tracy to that world. Some biographers suggested he was curious, even conflicted. Others rejected that claim outright. They saw a man bound by faith, alcohol, and a fraught private life with women. The truth is contested. Records are thin. Gossip is loud. What remains clear is the climate. Same-sex love risked careers, arrests, and family shame. Whispers followed success. A late drink with a studio coach became a rumor. A beach weekend with a small company of friends became a fable. In that era, a man did not need proof to be accused. He needed silence and help from powerful allies. Studio fixers guarded the valuable. They moved stories off front pages. They paid for discretion. When talk grew hot, Tracy learned the code of survival. Never write what you could say. Never say what you could imply with a glance. Travel with a mixed group. Leave early when laughter turned reckless. Be kind, but distant. When a reporter hovered, he carried kindness like a shield. He carried loneliness like a stone. There were friendships that warmed him. A cinematographer with an eye for shadows. A playwright with a sharp tongue and a soft heart. They talked craft first, then life. They walked late under pepper trees and argued about grace. None of that proves romance. It proves need. Artists, like everyone, want to be seen without fear. Some contemporaries recalled a different heat. They described nights when Tracy seemed lighter, even boyish. free of the armor he wore at work. They remembered hand squeezes that lingered. They remembered vanishing acts after wrap, followed by clear eyes at dawn. These memories live in memoirs and interviews, filtered by decades. They remain testimony, not verdict. The studio's public story paired Tracy with ideal partners. First, his wife, Louise Treadwell. Later, the great Katharine Hepburn. That long bond, however defined in private, it quieted questions. It also created new ones. People assumed a romance, and perhaps there was one. People also noticed the distance between image and exhaustion. Secrets, whatever their nature, extract a toll. The law punished difference in those years. Police raided bars on Hollywood Boulevard. Confidential magazine paid for whispered names. Public exposure could end a contract overnight. A single photograph could destroy a family. Rumor was not a game. It was a blade. One story from the early 1940s shows the danger. A gossip columnist reportedly heard that an A-list actor had been seen leaving a discreet party in the hills. The column hinted at morals without naming names. The studio called within hours. Money changed hands. The next issue featured recipes and hats. No names, no ruin. The warning was clear. Stay invisible. Another scare arrived later. A small-town paper printed a blind item about a righteous screen hero and his nights on the coast. The description fit more than one man, but phones rang anyway. Advisors told Tracy to avoid certain homes for a season. He did. Work filled the space where friendship had been. If he carried a forbidden love, he guarded it with absolute care. He left no letters that scholars can cite. He gave no interviews that confessed desire beyond the public story. Yet his performances deepened. The tenderness on screen grew more human. The danger in his eyes felt earned. Audiences sensed a man who knew the cost of wanting what the world forbade. The pressure built as the post-war years hardened. Red Scare politics tightened moral lines. Investigations prowled studios. Private lives felt even less private. Tracy kept moving between light and shadow. Choosing work. Choosing silence. Choosing the narrow path that kept him employed. He had learned how to live in rooms where no one spoke the whole truth. But secrets cannot absorb endless strain. They bend the body. They bruise the heart. They call for coping that is not clean. Soon the balance he had maintained would tilt. The risk of exposure would be joined by another enemy. One that did not need a camera to find him. Alcohol had followed him since the road days. In Hollywood it grew teeth. Early call times met late nights that did not end. He drank to quiet nerves. He drank to forget whispers. He drank because silence can roar inside a man. Directors learned to plan around storms. Some shoots ran smooth, others sank. He could be dazzling at dawn and distant by noon. An assistant kept black coffee ready. Another kept doors closed when anger flashed. Colleagues protected him because the work was undeniable. They also protected the investments tied to his name. The press noticed hints, a missed premiere, a strained smile in a photo line. Publicists spun fatigue and flew. MGM wanted the image clean. They offered doctors and rest cures. They offered new contracts with tighter clauses. A single clause could end pay if scandal surfaced. He signed because work was his anchor. Family pain added weight. His son John was born deaf. Tracy loved him fiercely. He also wrestled with guilt he could not pastor away. Catholic conscience collided with helplessness. He prayed, then poured a drink. He tried to be present. Work stole hours. Shame stole sleep. The partnership with Katharine Hepburn steadied him on some days. She brought order. She brought belief. She brought a fierce loyalty that calmed rooms. Together they made pictures that felt adult and true. Yet even that sanctuary could not erase the larger storm. Rumors drifted around them, some about marriage vows, some about other lives behind the lot walls. Neither confirmed what the town wanted to hear. Both guarded the work first. Studios feared the power of gossip columns. Confidential rewarded informants. Agents taught clients to move carefully. One misstep could feed a national headline. Tracy learned to avoid certain phone calls. He learned to exit side doors. He learned to smile while walking away. Health began to show the bill. He developed diabetes. He faced heart trouble later. There were hospital rooms with blinds drawn at noon. There were scripts waiting on nightstands while monitors clicked. He was not a man who asked for pity. He asked for the next scene and time to prepare. Roles shifted as years advanced. Fewer romantic leads. More fathers, judges, and men of conscience. The camera still trusted his eyes. The audience still leaned toward his quiet. But the private cost climbed. Each victory felt heavy. There was a winter when work paused. Friends recall a man thinned by sleeplessness. The bottle had not offered peace. The whispers had not eased. A studio fixer warned that one more public stumble could end contracts. He listened. He nodded. He put the glass down. He promised to try. It was a low point, and it left a mark. The path forward would require new terms, fewer handshakes, fewer parties, a smaller circle. He would choose craft and care, then measure what remained. The 1950s asked him to deepen, not dazzle. He answered with gravity. Inherit the Wind showed a man battling ideas with quiet fire. Judgment at Nuremberg gave him a judge who felt the weight of history. He carried authority like a worn coat, familiar, heavy, honest. The audience trusted him because he seemed to trust truth. Television threatened studios, then taught them humility. Tracy watched the medium rise and chose to stand firm in film. He took fewer jobs. He chose scripts that asked questions. Faith and doubt played inside his characters. You could feel the argument behind his eyes. When the camera found him, it met a man who had lived storms and learned restraint. Hepburn remained the constant. She drove him to doctors and to sets. She argued with producers. She kept the house quiet when he needed breath. Their bond defied simple labels and satisfied newspapers anyway. People called them a great love. Others called it a partnership built on work, wit, and mutual need. The truth lived behind closed doors, and they kept it there. What the public saw was tenderness and steel. She steadied him when tremors came. Health narrowed his choices. Diabetes demanded discipline. Heart trouble shadowed days. He listened to physicians who insisted on rest. He also listened to the call of one more good scene. He rationed energy like a soldier on a long march. The bottle loosened its hold when the body could no longer afford it. Friends noticed more water on tables. Fewer late nights. More quiet reading in sunlit rooms. The culture shifted while he measured steps. The post-war Red Scare cooled. The old production code weakened. By the mid-1960s, film began to speak more directly about race, power, and desire. He returned to the screen with purpose. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner placed him inside a national conversation on interracial marriage. He played a father weighing fear against love. The performance felt like a summation, a man choosing grace over control, a man choosing the human heart. He looked back at the industry that built him. He had survived because he protected private life and honored work. He had also paid a price for silence. Friends recall late talks about conscience and kindness. He wanted younger actors to hold fast to both. He believed listening was a craft and a cure. In those final years, his face grew thinner and his gaze grew kinder. Fame had been loud. The lesson he carried forward was quiet. Love, in any era, asks for courage. His last act would repeat that truth and leave a soft echo that still carries. When the lights fade, one truth remains. Spencer Tracy gave the world steadiness while carrying storms of his own. At 58 and beyond, he guarded a forbidden love in silence. Perhaps it was a person, perhaps it was a part of himself the era would not allow. Either way, the cost shaped the hush in his voice and the mercy in his gaze. His life reads like a manual for survival in a punishing system. Studios enforced morality on paper and in private. Columns bought whispers. Laws turned tenderness into danger. Tracy chose work, loyalty, and a small circle. He protected others by absorbing risk. Watch the restraint and judgment at Nuremberg, the softened jaw in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, the way conviction yields to compassion. Those are not tricks. They are lived decisions. We stand in a different time, yet some echoes remain. Public kindness still matters. Private courage still saves lives that cannot speak freely. If you know the pressure of masks, you know the weight he carried. May his story offer strength, not to hide, but to endure until you can be seen. Tell us what moment changed how you see Spencer Tracy. Share in the comments, and bring your own memories of old Hollywood. Subscribe for more hidden histories, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. Your voice helps keep these untold lives alive.